do feel like I need to at least make mention of one college football note here, and that's the fact that Greg Sankey has been talking apparently on with Feinbaum, and he got into some of the events of this past week. And I think that, I guess my biggest thing, and I said this earlier, is if you're the Big 12, you celebrate right now, and you celebrate for probably a little while. But as we'll talk about with Mac Rhodes here in the next few minutes, I think you also have to be as much on your P's and Q's as you ever have been before, right? I mean, you're not done fighting for your survival. And with the playoff starting anew next year, that's only a 2-year contract where you're going to have your automatic qualifiers. There's absolutely nothing really stopping the Big Ten and the SEC from flexing their muscles in a couple of years and demanding the lack of automatic qualifiers. And basically a scenario where you have a 12-team playoff and what, guys? Like 8 of them are from those 2 conferences, if not more. So Greg Sankey is talking about kind of everything that's going on, says CFP leaders have not yet met about re-examining the expanded playoff format, but does say that it would be wise for them to take a step back and reconsider what the format might look like given the changing circumstances, which of course has nothing to necessarily do with them. That could just be hey, is there an automatic bid still for the pack? Like, how are we doing that? So he is in favor of them getting together sooner rather than later to re-examine the playoff model. On the future of the college football playoff, he said the expansion out west was about bringing in the Western football side of things, but now what we've seen is Western football going to other conferences. We do have changed circumstances that can create the thought in my mind that in others of some level of adjustment to be made. So they have not met, but he is pushing for them to move. And just a reminder for this 12-team playoff, 6 at-larges, 6 autos, which would be the highest-rated conference champions. And he says we have to acknowledge it is on everyone's mind pending the outcome of these membership movement pieces. Now, as far as the SEC himself goes, he does say that they are pretty much staying pat. I know there's the Florida State stuff and things like that out there, but there's a lot of mechanisms that would have to take place for that to be an actual fit. But as far as he says, we are in an enormously healthy place and not in the middle of the movement efforts. So there's just Greg Sankey talking a little bit about the playoff and about their role. And they've played this so perfectly that you think they did nothing this entire time. Like, they weren't the ones that got the ball rolling. And look, their move made absolute sense. Yep. Regionally, it makes sense. Rivalry-wise, it makes sense. But they just get to sit back and just hands clean. And you know dang well they will be right in the middle of changing that playoff up and ensuring that, there's as much representation as all possible. But there is the SEC Commissioner with some comments on what has taken place here recently on the Paul Feinbaum.
You know what they're
show.
like? They're like the guy that goes into a bar, gets a little bit drunk, starts a fight, everybody starts a brawl, and he falls down on the floor and falls asleep. How did all this happen? That's kind of what. But they're doing what they need to do. Everybody is. The Big Ten, the Big 12. Unfortunately, the Pac-12 tried. The ACC's now trying. But it's good to hear from him. And listen, he is the guy. He has the clout, even more than Petiti at the Big Ten because of tenure in where the SEC and what they've been winning.
Yeah, he did also say, sorry, Paul, but he did also say in regards to last week, we're in an enormously healthy place talking about the SEC, but he went on to say, just in regards to what all happened, it wasn't one of the great feelings to work in college sports. I take responsibility where we've made moves, but there was something different about last week. So that came as you were saying that. So he does sort of address that, which is nice. But he has played that role of like, we didn't do anything.
He threw grenades in the lap of Yormark, who then called him on it.
And you could take one of his comments as that as well. He said that they're not somebody that needs to be, and I don't think this is at Yormark, but you could take it that way. But he says the SEC, and this is true, doesn't need to be in 4 different time zones to be relevant, which is just really pumping up his own brand.
Well, the Big Ten's in 4 now, aren't they? Are they in 4?
Yeah, I think so.
Are they in the mountain?
Are they? I don't think they're in the mountain, actually.
No, they're in the West, Central, and East.
Yeah. Okay. So they're spread across the country. But, Paul, do you have anything? I mean, he's setting the table basically to revisit. I mean, what we thought was going to happen, they're going to reshuffle the deck chairs most likely.
He's always, moving. He's playing chess,
Absolutely.
He's playing chess, and the Pac-12 was playing Connect 4. I mean, that's how distant that is. He's always moving things around, and they can. The SEC can do nothing. They honestly can stay at 16. Nothing's going to hurt their brand. They don't have. And I mentioned this in the top 5 the other day. They don't have to go to 18 just because the Big Ten is. They don't. They're the ones who are winning the titles. They're the ones who, have the big brand name. They have all that. They don't have to. And he can say, look, we don't want to expand. But the minute that and this is going to be true for anybody who Florida State might be interested in going to, and Clemson and whoever, the minute that their legal situation becomes clarified and that they can get out and become a benefit to somebody, then all of that changes, right? So all of that changes completely. And right now, what's he going to say? Like, yeah, we'd love to have Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina, and Virginia. We'd love to have those 4. Bring them on. Oh, wait, legally, there's nothing they can do. So that's, again, tortious interference or whatever you want to say. So right now he's saying all those things, but, yeah, he can lay back and just wait.
Just wait. So they're not in a rush or planning to add anybody. This is not involving them, although because of all the moves, they do need to revisit the playoff, which would benefit them as much as anybody in the long run. They don't need the West Coast to be relevant on the West Coast because of the amount of brands they have. Certainly nothing he's saying is wrong there, but just interesting to hear one of the big power brokers in college football sort of talking about what's taking place and also saying, like, because all this is just going to benefit them, but also being able to go, I don't really like this. Isn't college sports. And I think that's probably how a lot of people are feeling. I think it's going to be interesting to hear what Mack Rhoades has to say, given that it's college sports, but he's also a part of the mix of pulling in teams. So a couple of other